It's the crack of dawn on a Saturday morning. It's the late 80s, and Ronald Reagan is on TV, looking like a freshly shaven scrotum. Dad fell asleep in his chair again last night. You creep over to the remote like Solid Snake from the hit game Metal Gear. You swipe it, and change the channel. Suddenly, you're spirited away and thrust into the world of Thundercats. You've never seen this show before, but as you watch, you become more and more captivated by its unique aesthetic and its science fantasy universe of flamboyant, humanoid cat aliens. With just the press of a button, you were there. You were immersed in the middle of a piece of art that you might otherwise have never gone out of your way to watch. You just had an experience that I would call profound, and one which I think we've all collectively left behind as modern streaming services have taken hold. Also, you're a furry now. See you at AntherCon. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Not the furry thing, we'll talk later. I'm talking about the pros of the old TV broadcasting format, how it's kinda gone, and how we could kinda get it back. Okay, so, fuck me, I guess.
Orangewall.
Let me make something clear. This is not some nostalgic ode to cable TV or some shit like that. Cable TV is still around, and I have absolutely no desire to watch it, and I doubt you do either. I think we can all agree that the internet is a much superior way of accessing media. TV as a service is a complete and total barforama. It's like an old horse that should have been shot a long time ago. What I'm talking about today is preservation. Not necessarily of any sort of media or art in particular, but rather the interface, the context through which we access that stuff. I'm suggesting that today's streaming services could add features that can emulate the experience of broadcasts and channels using modern technology to better complement old media that was designed to be seen in that format. Old shows weren't made to be accessed through digital libraries and binged all in order like new shows are. They were designed to be broadcasted live, one episode at a time, on schedules, through different channels that viewers could jump between at will. A viewer might have tuned in partway through an episode, unable to rewind, but it was okay because shows were usually written in such a way that tardy viewers could still understand. But even if a viewer generally stuck with one channel, the selection of shows on said channel would usually be played on more of a disjointed playlist. So maybe Avatar's on at 2, but after that it's SpongeBob. Bottom line is that episodes of shows were meant to be self-contained and watchable out of context, even serialized stuff. What the f*** is this thing? Here's a personal anecdote to sort of paint a picture for you. One time I tuned in partway through an episode of Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, if you've ever seen one of these high-concept anime shows, you know that there's usually a lot of over-explaining. You have that thing where two characters are fighting while supporting characters watch and basically explain everything that's happening. If you try to binge such series, this can get old fast. It's often repetitive and patronizing to have the obvious pointed out to you all the time. But for me, as a viewer just dropping in, I found it very helpful to have the stakes and rules of this world explained to me. The episode I saw was pretty far into the series too. It was the fight between the characters Yusuke and Yomi. It seemed like a pretty climactic battle, and I didn't feel lost during any of it, even if some story details were a little fuzzy. That's really cool to me. I feel like I got a decent cross-section of the show, and if there was anything that convinced me to watch the rest of Yu Yu Hakusho, it'd be that. So basically, while this is mostly about preservation of the way we watch TV shows for after they go off the air, I do think there are actual pros to this format of displaying content. Usually, when I look at streaming services, there's a lot of choice paralysis. There are many JPEGs on my screen, and each represents a multi-hour saga, so it's hard to commit to something without just judging by the cover or picking something because you heard it was good, whatever that means. When you get tossed in cold turkey, again, you're just there. You're looking at the work itself and making your own judgments. And all this shit is the experience that I feel like modern streaming services could try and emulate, perhaps with something like live streams. Imagine logging into Netflix and seeing a retro animation stream going on. It'd be a nice alternative to normal streaming. You could flip it on and the choice of what to watch would be handled for you. You'd have a nice, curated smorgasbord of shows you could sample from, which would probably expose you to some works you never would have seen otherwise. I think that'd be cool. It'd give us the option to play to the strengths of these older works and reinvigorate them by placing them more in their proper context rather than just keeping them on a shelf. And I want to make it clear that I'm not pitching this as a replacement for on-demand streaming or something psychotic like that, just as an extra alternative experience that could help us see old works in a better light. But as I hear myself wishing for this out loud, I can so clearly envision the finger of the monkey's paw curling with malice.
Obviously, the businesses behind these services would manhandle these ideas, right? Like, say this actually did get implemented and became a popular feature, they'd totally milk it. They'd probably pump the stream full of ads and charge extra for the quote-unquote service, and probably find some other revolutionary postmodern ways to ruin it, as they do. As they always do.
It's really easy to imagine because that's literally what happened with cable. It's on the with ads and over-monetization. You know. It seems all the dreams of mankind are cursed somehow.
I think a decent alternative to streams that would be harder to exploit and maybe easier to implement would be playlists like you have on musical streaming services. I mean, when you think about it, TV is to radio like Netflix is to Spotify, right? They're two different mediums, visual and audio, but they're comparable in the way they deliver their content. An episode from a season is analogous to a song off an album, so like with songs, you should be able to make playlists of episodes and shuffle them as you please. You could also share them around and have artist-curated playlists. It could be big. There's probably 1,000 reasons why this hasn't been implemented. I don't know how popular it would be, but I've talked to several people and pitched them this idea, and they all thought it was cool, so there must be some merit to it, right?
If you want a sample...
If you want a sample of this TV experience I'm talking about without actually having to watch barf-ass cable yourself, there's a couple alternatives. Firstly, there's nothing stopping you from just pulling up the first show you see on your service of choice and just clicking on some random head-ass shit episode, but I feel like we could do better. There's a website that I've been watching recently called Toonami Aftermath. It plays old Toonami, Cartoon Network, and Adult Swim reruns, basically a bunch of animated stuff from the 80s to the 2000s, on a live stream like I've been suggesting.
It's the whole reason I made this video.
It's not official. Frankly, I don't know how the hell these guys are getting away with it, but apparently the site's been up for over a decade, so I guess Warner Bros. Just doesn't give a shit. Just to cover everyone's asses though, I strongly encourage you to support the slimy fish people who hold the rights to this stuff before you go and watch this website for free.
We good? Sick. I think that's all I wanted to say. Anthrocon, I am there. I'm going as Lego Sheep from Beastars. It'd be awesome. We can get a Wawa, we can get sandwiches, we can... What the f*** is that music? Is the video ending? It is. I can feel it. No! Yeah!